Doctors and malpractice. Always a fun little issue, that one, isn't it? How many of us wouldn't still be here if we hadn't fought for a diagnosis when we weren't taken seriously? Let's talk about it. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA, your home for contentious issues, spicy topics, and arguments. I'll call them debates. If you guys love this content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some more stories. Let's go. Would I be the a-hole if I turned in a group of doctors that initially refused to treat me for a life-threatening illness because they refused to believe that it was possible for me to have it? Okay, so for context, I'm a disabled military vet from my time spent overseas. I'm a 36-year-old female. I rely on the treatment from the VA systems for my healthcare, which, in my personal experiences, has always been wonderful in my area. A few weeks ago, I was rushed to the ER with what was the worst head pain I had ever felt, and it had come on in an instant. My CT scan ended up being clear, and it was diagnosed as a migraine. The next day is when hell started for me. Enter 2 weeks of near constant agonizing pain, a severely swollen left temple, bad jaw pain, my vision in my left eye was getting worse and I was seeing double, and there were other symptoms stacked on top of those. I had been requesting to be seen immediately by my GP. I have most of these requests backed up in emails, and I was blown off. I had a strong hunch at what was wrong with me, even though, according to the wise Dr. Google, I'm not supposed to get temporal arteritis until at least age 50. I just wanted to be taken seriously because I know my body. I feel I have a good grasp on my personal pain levels because of injuries I suffered in the military, and this was the worst pain I have ever experienced by leaps and bounds, and it never relented. Finally, my GP saw me and instantly changed her tune. To start treatment, I was to get a biopsy on my left temporal artery. The ENT doctor called me to set that appointment up. Only he wouldn't. He told me I had an actual 0% chance of having this, and I was wasting mine and their time if I came in because I was too young. He made it clear that he was not entertaining the idea of seeing me at all, and ended the phone call. It took another 24 hours of fights, emails, and phone calls, and being treated like crap to get the biopsy set up for the following morning. Hey, guess what? I frickin' have it. I'm being treated for it, but I've suffered permanent vision loss in my left eye because of the delay in treatment. Let alone what else, because I haven't even been fully informed on the extent of the disease yet. I want accountability. I want this drastic mistake to be learned from, and other people not to suffer my same type of treatment. Only people around me are telling me my anger is too much, that I would be the a-hole if I went after doctors' careers. Really? So I'm looking for judgment so I can make sense of this all and make a decision. And, oh yeah, I would have died as a result of this remaining untreated, and it could have happened at any time. So that's what people are basing their opinion on. You didn't die, they ended up saving your life, it could have been worse. Thoughts? Look, OP, just to tell it straight, if the people around you that know you best, that are most intimate with your life, are saying that you're being crazy, and that, it wasn't so bad, you didn't die, they did save your life after all, you really do have to question, whether friend or family, if these people are worth keeping around in your life. And that's not me saying cut them off instantly, that's me saying look back on what they've said to you and their actions towards you before, during, and after all of this, review that, and decide, if their actions are like that of a gallbladder. It's nice to have in there, it's not completely necessary, and if it's infectious and it's going to kill the rest of your organs, maybe it's time to take it out. Just some food for thought on that one. I'm gonna have to say not the a-hole for this one. You've been done dirty by everyone, and it's not your fault. You fought for yourself, and I love that. Not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Natural Sneak says, not the a-hole. Seriously, doctors need to stop acting like females don't know what they're talking about. You know your body, and you knew something was wrong. And edit, because many of you have come at me, I'm not gatekeeping this. Yes, I'm aware it happens to males. Again, historically, doctors ignore women. Stop coming at me. Tell everyone who is telling you your anger is too much and that you would be the a-hole if you went after doctors' careers that they can F off. They are not the one who lost an eye. Your anger is justified, and these kind of doctors should not be in medical professions if they can't do their jobs properly. Yeah, and they only saved your life because it was their frickin' fault you were in a position to need saving to begin with. That you wouldn't have been in as much danger if you had been diagnosed promptly. She saved her own life. Seriously. Not the a-hole. Report them, make noise, hold them accountable. You're extremely lucky to have come out of this alive, but the next person may not be. I'm really sorry this happened to you. I'm glad you caught it and made them listen, and I hope the treatment is as effective and painless as possible. Best wishes for your recovery. Our next post is by user Am I the A-hole Mum Issues, titled Am I the A-hole for not leaving my mum alone with my daughter? So I, 27 female, have a 5-year-old daughter with my husband, 28 male. I am the pastiest white possible. 3rd gen NZ Irish, I'm guessing that's New Zealand, but I'm not sure. And so light that I basically glow in the dark. My hubby is African American. Our daughter has taken after him both in skin color and hair type, and this has been a huge learning curve for me since my hair has always been straight as a ruler. My mum is an ex-hairdresser, semi-retired due to carpal tunnel syndrome. She has no experience with African American hair and no desire to learn, as I've tried. Up until 6 months ago, she regularly babysat for us when we needed a break, and we've never had any issues. Then, the day before my daughter was supposed to start school, my mom was going to look after her for a couple of hours while we went on a date. We were called halfway through dinner by my mum freaking out and our daughter crying hysterically. Mum had tried to straighten her hair so she could fit in at school the next day, but whilst struggling to put a comb through my daughter's hair, she had burnt her scalp twice with the iron and had to have the iron on such a high setting that she melted a section of her hair. I was absolutely beside myself with her, partly because she had actually hurt my daughter, but also because I don't want my daughter to think that she has to look a certain way to fit in at school. I told her that night that she would never be allowed to babysit unsupervised again. Now 6 months later, and she's nagging me to give her another chance, but I really don't want to. She was like this my entire childhood. Made me start getting spray tans and styling my hair when I was 12, so I'd be a cool girl. And she restricted what sports I could play in case I got hurt and ended up ugly. I thought she would be different as a grandmother, but now I think it's just more of the same. Am I the a-hole here? And should I give her another chance? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I think I might be the a-hole because I'm basing my stance off of one incident and letting my childhood affect my parenting. No, she literally burnt the scalp of a child twice and then melted that child's hair. If she wanted to do this with your child's hair, she would have learnt and taken precautions beforehand. She refused to do that, yet she tries to dive into the deep end with this one. That hair is notoriously difficult to work with. That's the reason they have salons set up specifically for these hair types. She knows this. She should know better, and she does know better. She did this without telling you, it was malicious, and she called you after the damage was done. At least she had the balls to call you and tell you that she messed up. Thank you, mother, for not continuing to do more harm. You still are an a-hole. I 100% don't blame you for keeping her away from your daughter if it's just one-on-one. She's already screwed up this one time, it doesn't matter, it can and probably will happen again if given the chance. It's always great to follow that saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Do not shame yourself in this instance, OP, keep her away, not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Uncle Dad 87 says, not the a-hole. If it were me, I wouldn't give her another chance either. Your priority is to protect your child, and no one should be making her feel like she needs to change things about herself to fit in, especially not a family member who she trusts. I think you made the right decision, and you're doing what's best for your daughter. And please don't let her babysit alone again. She hurt your daughter. By doing something stupid. OMFG, I would be so damn angry, not the a-hole. She hurt her granddaughter by being racist. She wanted to straighten her granddaughter's hair so she'll be palatable for white society. Yeah, that was a huge a-hole move. She should never be alone with her granddaughter, ever. I'm not usually one to scream racist at the smallest offense, but man, that's some solid racism right there. Yeah, being an experienced hairstylist and having no desire to learn how to cut and style African American hair is what made me immediately blame racism. In addition to the obvious racism, it sounds like she also has a fairly healthy dose of misogyny, ableism, and general ugliness baked into her crappy worldview, based on OP's description of her childhood. I feel like this goes beyond supervision and should maybe be a catalyst for OP to re-examine her whole relationship with her mother. Also, how does OP's husband feel about all of this? Dividiticular says, very strong not the a-hole. I'm sorry, but your mother is blatantly prejudiced and a huge a-hole. No one should be told they have to change their hair texture, skin tone, or limit their activities to be beautiful. Much less a child. I am so sorry she put you through what she did, and that she's trying the same thing with your girl. That is straight up abuse. Look, I wholeheartedly agree. OP's mother is an abusive bigot. Telling that to anyone, let alone children, huge not the a-hole, and deserves no second chance. And our big daddy, Greek American Dom, comes through and says, not the a-hole. Has your mother even apologized? A real apology. One that acknowledges the racist roots of what she tried to do, along with the harm her ignorance caused your daughter. If she comes to you, she has to admit that what she did was wrong with a detailed explanation of what exactly she did wrong. Explains what she will have to do to have it never happen again. For example, she will never try to make your daughter fit in, she will learn hair care appropriate of your daughter's hair, etc., and says sorry to you and your daughter. You do not give her a second chance. Our next post is by user Am I the A-hole nipple nurse? Titled, Would I be the a-hole for going to HR about my secret nickname? Throw away because I don't want to be identified. Long story short, I'm a nurse at a hospital, and I go to different floors as my job to help out. I have a pretty common name. Think Jessica, Amanda. There are several nurses with my name throughout the hospital, and sometimes multiple on the same floor. Today, I was working on a hall with a new nurse who didn't know me yet. She commented on how it was weird that this floor had 3 Jessicas on it. She asked me which one I was. I guess she thought I worked just on that floor, and I told her my last name. Then she asked if I knew Jessica with the nipples that works on float pool. The charge nurse was nearby, and I noticed her eyes get kind of big, and she looked nervous all of a sudden. I was confused for a minute because I'd never heard this description, and as far as I knew, I was the only Jessica in float pool. It dawned on me that she was referring to me without knowing I am apparently Jessica with the nipples. I guess this was just a known thing about me, 'cause that nurse avoided me like the plague all day, and so did everyone else. The charge nurse tried to make it into a joke with me at lunch, and I laughed to hide my embarrassment, but I am mortified. I had noticed my nipples sparingly in the bathroom mirror and thought that it was just a rare thing when cold. I guess my nipples show through my sports bra and scrubs on a regular enough basis that it becomes my secret identifier. I told a friend that I was thinking about going to HR about this, but they said that it was obviously a harmless identifier that I was never supposed to find out about, so it should have been no harm, no foul. The same as Jessica with red hair, etc. I feel like it's not harmless though to use an identifier that is so embarrassing and made me the butt of jokes. I think I could be the a-hole because I don't know what HR would do, and what if it's too extreme? I don't want anyone fired. Edit to add to, not sure if Reddit gives you a notification about updates to posts you comment on, but here's what I've decided since I posted this. First, much to my shame, I'm a very non-confrontational person, so I did not confront anyone. And due to this, I also decided not to go to HR, despite the overwhelming response telling me to here. After thinking about it for a day, I decided there wasn't much that HR would be able to do without just causing me further embarrassment and making the whole workplace awkward. I came home to some new bras my hubby bought me that fit all the criteria I wanted for bras, but I just hadn't looked very hard previously. He got me a size up from what I already had, and they turned out even more comfortable. I'm currently not talking to my friend I'd mentioned because he was really insensitive, and even brought up a time from our teen years where someone untied my top in the lake and everyone got a great look at my pepperoni nipples when I came out of the water. I also put in some new applications to local places for a new job, and I hope to be leaving this place soon. Thank you for all the input. Sorry I couldn't respond much between work and family once I got home. And Opie offered the following reason for why they think they would be the a-hole. I think I could be the a-hole because I don't know how HR will respond, and what if it's too extreme? I don't want anyone fired. I'm sorry I read the update there and it kind of spoils it in a way, but I don't think that even if you had gone to HR, it would be an a-hole move. That's such a disgusting nickname to give people. I understand in office environments and everything else, people say worse, and people keep really bad stuff under wraps. That's just how things are sometimes. It's not acceptable, but it's a reality of life. People talk, people gossip, and it's not good. I know I've defended gossiping in the past. It's a bit of a grey area, I'll admit. In this case, it wasn't a force for good, that's for sure. This does come across as harassment by seemingly everyone that you work with because everyone was avoiding you. It was that widespread, Jesus Christ. So really, I don't blame you for wanting to leave that place. I don't think even taking it to HR would have solved anything here. You were doing good, you've kept your temper, and you've carried on, and I applaud you for that. Not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Snarfblatt in concert says, not the a-hole. The nickname is unprofessional and sets a bad precedent for the culture. In fact, it seems like you have two informal nicknames, and yet some people choose to use the borderline harassment one when float pool is enough to identify you alone. Also, they really can't go by first name plus last name initial? What the hell? Right? Or even last name. I work with lots of Mikes. We just call them by either last name or first initial plus last name if it's easy to say. I would feel so gross to be called Jessica with the nipples, even if that was the most recognizable thing on me. We avoid issuing last names as nurses, going so far as to keep them off our badges, because we get stalked by patients and family members. That makes sense under normal circumstances, but I'm almost certain that the Jessica in question would rather go by Jessica last name or Jessica initial over Jessica with the nipples. Not the a-hole. Harmless my ass. That's sexual harassment and just a nasty nickname. Right? She's the only Jessica in the float pool. She could have just been Jessica in the float pool if they couldn't bother to do last name and initials. And I highly doubt that she's the only Jessica with nipples. Our next post is by user LADuck22, titled, Am I the a-hole for wanting to split up Airbnb costs by person as the only single person on a couple's trip? So I'm planning a trip with my friends and their wives, 7 people total, including me. We're getting 4 bedrooms, 3 couples have their own rooms, and I have mine. Just as we're about to book, 2 people brought up how it would be unfair if we split up the total cost of the Airbnb evenly 7 ways because couples act as a unified body. They want to split the cost 4 ways and make me pay for 2 people, $600 versus $300, while the couples pay $300 total for their rooms. If the couples just split it 7 ways, they'd have to pay $77 more per couple. Why should I have to pay more just because I'm single? The couples will be taking up more rooms in the house, more of their food will be in the fridge, they'll have more stuff in the bathroom. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I'd 100% split by person. Or am I crazy? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I might be the a-hole because I don't want to pay the full cost of a trip. I just don't want to get screwed on the cost of a trip between friends because I'm the only single person on a couple's trip. I should have made clear my intentions earlier and not just assumed people shared my viewpoint. Alright, I initially went for everyone sucks here for this one, but I saw more context in the comments and I think OP is not the a-hole for this one. If they really want you along for this trip, they should be happy with splitting it 7 ways. It feels like they're kind of forcing this on you at the last minute. You assumed one thing, they assumed another. I don't think it's fair that they use their power as 6v1 to force this on you. What I'm guessing from the get-go, they probably all assumed it would be an even split between everyone. So for that reason, I don't blame you for not wanting to pay the full cost of the trip, split 4 ways. That's a bit weird to me. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole. I feel like you've been done dirty here. Now in the comments, Beans and Rice says, I'm so confused by all of the you're the a-holes here. For big group holidays where we've hired Airbnbs for our friend group, we've always split by person. Allocating by bedroom seems insane to me. This isn't a hotel, it's a house. Split the cost like a rental if you must. Allocate a cost per bedroom, by square footage, available amenities, quality of room, etc. Split that cost by couple and the OP, and then calculate the cost for use of the rest of the house. Living room, kitchen, bathrooms, and split that by the number of people. But no way OP should be paying for 1/4 of the accommodations costs on their own. Not the a-hole. Did anyone else's brain go into a scrambled mess listening to that? Jesus Christ. J Brood replies, with you on your own confusion why people would think OP is the a-hole, assuming they don't have much group travel experience, I guess. Most of them don't really seem to grasp the difference between an Airbnb and a hotel, for frick's sake. You have at least a sensible idea in theory, but the problem is getting 7 people to agree on what each bedroom and such is worth. In practice, however, I've seen this just lead to fights over the absolute dumbest crap imaginable. Like who used what bathroom, for real. Or it turns out, one of the beds in the nice looking room is actually uncomfortable as hell, and they want to change the valuation. Or one couple likes the hole up in their room and wants a discount on the shared space. In my opinion, happy travel is all about minimizing potential stresses ahead of time. By far the easiest and most equitable way is just to split it per person. Miss D. Reed says, everyone sucks here. I think an equitable way to fix this is by how much time you spend in the room versus in the house. With the fact you won't be spending all of your time inside, I would say it would be fair to do a split, 1/4 for the bedroom and 1/7 for the whole house. It looks like the total for the Airbnb is $2,400. So take 1,200 and divide it by 4, nighttime/own room equals 300. And then the daytime of the 1,200 and divide it by 7 is 172. You'll pay 472 and the couples will pay 644. I honestly think it's very fair. It's definitely not fair for you to pay half of what they pay when you have your own room, but it's also not fair for you to pay 1/4 of the day use of the whole home when there will be 7 people using the bathrooms and kitchen and crap like that. My god. This is the most bizarre and needlessly complex thing I've ever read. I do not understand on what planet you think this is reasonable or how you came to these insane calculations. Truly odd. I can see, after all of this, why people get into so many arguments about it, because there's so many ways you can cut this pie to make it equitable for someone and not someone else. Oh, this is just frustrating, isn't it? Euro103 asks, info. Are they strapped for cash? And are you sure they want you along on the trip? It might just be me, but if a bunch of my friends did this to me, it would feel as if it was a polite and subtle way of letting me know that I wasn't wanted on the trip, because I would probably be unable to afford an additional $300. And OP replies, they are not strapped for cash. I make the least of the 7 of us. I think they want me to be on the trip, but they all want time to do couple crap instead of potentially having me third wheeling. Yeah, you're not the a-hole. In my social circles, it's considered bad taste to ask the person earning the least to fork out more. If you consider them really good friends, you can just fork out the expense. If you can afford the difference, to keep the peace. Alternatively, invite someone else to split the cost, and also keep you company while others go do their couple stuff. And why are you going on this trip to begin with? Being the only single person on a couple's trip would be a nightmare. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Friendly reminder that I'm now posting daily on my second channel, Markee 2. If you want to laugh at memes with me, link is down in the description below. On phone, you just click that little arrow underneath the video. I also want to say thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your names are currently floating down the screen here, and I love to see all of you guys. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate it. If you see yourself on screen, I want you to give yourself a big pat on the back for being amazing as always, and thank you for supporting me again. I do hope that you guys have a good day, night, sleep, whatever it is you're up to. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.